Hey, what's up, YouTube friends? This is Tony Making Food Mata, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to butcher a whole fish. Now, this is a round fish. I wanted to get a salmon, but in my area I couldn't get any whole salmons for the price that I wanted to pay, so I went with a mackerel. So essentially, like, this is a round fish. So round fish are typically fish that look like this, and this guy, we'll call him Mac the mackerel. He is a round fish. So pretty much all of them are the same. A salmon is a little bit easier to work with because it's a little bit bigger. So this guy is a little bit smaller. So he might be a little bit more difficult, but we'll see what happens. So first thing, I'm going to look at this fish, and when I smell it, like, I want the scent of the sea, like a sea breeze. I don't want anything too fishy. I'm also going to look at a couple of different things. I'm going to look at the gills, these guys right here. I'm going to look for a bright, like a bright red. I'm going to poke the skin or touch the skin, make sure that it is firm and it doesn't get dented in when I push down on it. I'm also going to look at the eyes. I want to make sure that the eyes are a nice black and they're not cloudy. So this guy he's all right. He's not the best fish that I could get, but for purposes of this, I'm just gonna have to use it. So basically, what I'm going to do is, it depends on if you're right or left-handed. Now, I'm right-handed, and I want my knife to be sharp, but I also want my cutting board to be almost to the edge of the table, or the prep table, or whatever the counter, or whatever I'm working on, because it allows me, when I do fillet the salmon, that I'm not all up in it over this way, that I can keep it close to the cutting board. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this side by side. And usually when I get a salmon or a fish, I'll try to pat it down. And this came from Whole Foods, which I was surprised that, I was thinking that they would have had a better selection, but they didn't. And I kind of went late in the day. It was like 3 o'clock when I picked them up. When I picked up good old Mac the mackerel. So what I usually do with salmon or round fish is I'll pat it dry, and then I'll usually put a towel or something underneath. So I'm gonna go a couple of different ways. I'm gonna do this guy. I'm gonna lift up his little flipper right here, and I'm gonna cut in, but I'm gonna go down to the backbone, and then I'm gonna angle my knife, and I'm gonna go this way. So what I'm gonna do is, let me bring this a little bit closer, is I'm gonna take this guy, okay, and I'm going to make a incision right here with my knife, and then I'm going to follow the spine all the way back over here, okay? So, once again, let's start with this guy. I'm going to take his little flipper out, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to cut all the way in, and you can feel it. Like, you can feel it with your knife to when you get to the spine of the fish. So let me show you what I did here. So I cut them just like that. Cut right below the little flipper right there. Said hi. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, keep good old Mac up against the edge of the board, and I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to follow the spine. Now, you can kind of hear it, and as I go, I'm going to keep my knife, and I'm going to try to go all the way in and all the way out with my knife. Again, following the spine all the way in. Now, if you can see this, my knife, that's how it is. Okay, and I'm going in, and I'm following it down. So now when you get here, it's pretty much easy, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just like this, just like that. So now what I have is my fillet. Okay? So once again, what I did was I took the salmon, patted it dry, I cut, or not the salmon, the mackerel, I lifted up his little fin, cut in on an angle, and then I curved my knife around until I felt the spine, and then I kind of just went all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, until I filleted it. So now I have that guy. Now that's only half of the fish. So now this side is a little bit easier. So I'm going to take him, and I'm going to kind of put his head off the side of the board so it lays flat a little bit, so it lays flat. Now this side's a little bit easier, the other side's a little bit harder. So again, same thing, take my knife, lift up his little flipper, hey, lift up his little flipper, and I'm going to cut in, okay, on an angle until I hit the spine. I just felt it, okay, so I'm right there. So again, just like this, I cut it, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow, see my knife, I'm going to kind of curve it, and I can feel it, and if you can hear it, you can kind of hear it getting some of the, cutting some of the bones, okay. So again, holding this just like this, and I'm trying to go all the way in, all the way out, just like that, boom. So now I have my other half, okay. So we can look at this. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. Let me get a little bit of this. Got a sandy bucket right here. Okay. So I'm gonna bring you up this way. So now, if we have this, these are our fillets. So this one side, this is the other side, and this is the spine where I went and I cut it just like that. So once again, you cut that way in underneath the flipper, and then you put your knife, and then you go all the way down, just like that. You don't want to like, you don't want to like take your knife and like do something like this, because then you get steps in your fish. So now with this guy right here, I could take this, I could make a fish stock out of it with a mirepoix if I wanted to, but I'm not going to really do that. So now I want to kind of clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to take my knife, okay, and I'm going to cut off this stuff right here. Okay, so just like that, and I'm going to kind of angle my knife a little bit. Try to get an even cut. Now, with these fish, so I got this side right here, so this is good. I cut off all that junk on the one side, and then I'm going to try to clean it up on the other side. So when I cook this fish, I am going to cook it with the skin on. And the reason why, I mean, I could take the skin off if I really wanted to, but I'm just going to cook it with the skin on, and that will give it a nice crisp. So with these fish, you often have a pin bone somewhere in here. So I can feel it. Like I can feel it. I can feel the pin bones. With salmon, they're a little bit lower when they're around the same area, but you can feel the pin bones. Now, we don't want anybody to be choking on these pin bones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut a V to kind of cut the pin bones out. And all this you can feel it when you're doing it. Now I could essentially, if I wanted to, sit here and get a pair of fish tweezers, and I can go in and pick them all out one by one, but I would just take my knife, and we're just going to go down, just down this line where you can feel the pin bones, and I'm going to go in and cut a V. Just like that. So that is how you cut the pin bone out. Now, just like that again, cutting all the way down. Now there's no pin bone, so you can see I cut all right here, cut a little V in, and I cut the pin bone out. So now, since I'm keeping the skin on, now when I pan sear it, the skin's going to tighten up, and what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to put some hashes or some marks about a centimeter in, or centimeter apart, and that's what I'm going to do. So I went the one way. Okay. Again, just going down about a centimeter apart with my knife. I have these. See? So now I'm going to go the other way. Just like that. So now, that's that. So I'm going to put this over here. So again, with this, I'm going to cut off the belly. And then I'm going to cut off the fin. And then what I'm going to do is cut the pin bones out. Okay, the pin bones are right in here, and I'm going to cut a V into those. Again. So now I can just kind of take that out. Now all the pin bones are removed, and then I'm going to score the back. There's a little bit of fin right here. I can feel it, so I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut all that off. You can feel it. We don't want that. So again, I'm trying to, for demonstration purposes, I was trying to show you, but I'll go this way. So now I just cut that off. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my knife and I'm just going to put some hashes in it about a centimeter apart, so that way when I cook it, the skin doesn't curl up. It's a lot better for cooking. And the skin's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty crispy. Alright? So that's that. Now it is ready to go. Got my sandy bucket over here. So now my fish is ready to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pan sear it, and then that's going to be that. I'm going to make a white wine sauce and pair it with some asparagus and some potatoes, and it's going to be really cool. So once again, this is the end product. Okay. And that's the fillet, how to fillet a round fish. So once again, let's go over the steps. So we take the fish, and then we pat it dry, and then after we pat it dry, we take up the fin, we cut down, and then we go over, and then we flip it back up, and then we cut the fin down, and then we come back. Okay, so then that gives you your two fillets, which are these, and then you clean up the fillets, cut the belly off, cut the fin off. If there's some fin cartilage, you cut that off, and then from there you make a V down where the pin bones are at, and then you flip it over and you score the back side, and since I'm not taking the skin off and I'm utilizing the skin and it's going to be a nice crisp, that's what I do. And otherwise, I would just take the fish and I would just take the fish, remove the pin bones, take the fish, and then I would just take it, hold it just like this, and I would go all the way down with my knife and it's a fillet, take the skin off of it. So once again, I am Tony Making Food Mata, and I just gave you a demo on how to break down a round fish. In this case, it was a mackerel. Thank you, and have a good day.